Hi guys, my name is Angela Clark and I am a writer of several books. Thank you very much for joining me today for this very special video. As part of Free Word's latest season entitled How to Be Kind, the literary consultancy asked writers for their burning questions on how to get ahead with their work. They used the hashtag #ToughLovingCare to source questions from writers at all stages in their careers, and they've asked me to offer some insights. First question, and this is from Anonymous. Everyone has a different writing process. I often work on first draft and structure, including structural points like plot and world building. Finally, I address line editing and grammar, as this is a big issue for myself. Some people recraft sentences completely before the final editing. I realise that I write and edit a bit too fast, so I wonder what would be the most organised structure to go through editing, or in other words, what are the levels of editing to consider to tick all the boxes? Well, that's a great question to start us off. So as you say, everyone has a different writing process, and indeed actually writing can be different between each different book that you work on. So the first thing I'm going to recommend that you do is slow down and build more time into your process. When you've finished your first draft, put the document away and don't look at it, at least for a few weeks. During that time, go away, watch films, TV box sets, read lots of books, go to museums, go for lots of walks in the park, lots of things where you're taking yourself away from your book and not thinking about your book. Then when you come back to it, read it from start to finish, preferably on a different device, printed on paper or in a different room, or indeed all three. This will help you gain perspective and distance on your work and allow you to see exactly what needs to be tackled and when, so that you can structure your own editing and approach it in a uniform way. Next question, and this is also from Anonymous, who has clearly been very busy. The publishing industry is a money-making business. Do you think this leads to producing work that dates quickly and leads to publishers looking for the next bestseller rather than the next best talent? Ooh, interesting question. Over the last few years, we have indeed seen a more debut-focused industry where booksellers and publishers enjoy that burst of excitement and publicity that comes with a new writer. And it's certainly arguable that out of that, we've seen a leaning toward what are often described as big books or high concept books, which is another way of saying that they are books with a strong premise and or plot that can be summed up in one or two short snappy sentences that makes most people who hear it want to read it. For example, when an author escapes a cruel workhouse, he must learn street smarts when he falls in with a den of thieves in his search for a true home. Oliver Twist. Or, in a totalitarian futurist state, a man whose daily work is rewriting history tries to rebel by falling in love. 1984. But as these examples show you, Oliver Twist, which was written by Dickens in 1838, and 1984, written by George Orwell in 1949, great strong concepts have been around for years. A hooky idea will always be a hooky idea, and they will stand the test of time. So no, I don't think that this focus leads to work that dates quickly. Does this lead to publishers focusing on the next best-selling book rather than nurturing the best talent, though? I think that you can make a case for that. But as writers, it's our job to come up with great stories and develop our own craft. Focus on that, and remember that if you are a mid-list author that has a banging idea, you can always come out under a new name, and then, just like magic, you're a debut writer again. Next question. Women still make up a small percentage of reviews and shortlists. How can that change? From Anonymous. Sadly, periodically we do still seem to see shortlists and reviews that don't feature female writers, or writers of colour, or writers from the LGBTQ community, or disabled writers. And this is unarguably not cool. I don't think anyone could seriously suggest that the only writers of note or worth in our lovely diverse society are straight white men. And as writers, and more importantly as readers, I think we should continue to voice our dissatisfaction with this, and eventually hope that those who discern the shortlists and the reviews catch up with the wonderful world of talent that is out there. In the meantime, vote with your wallets and your library card, and keep taking out and buying those books by all of those diverse writers that you love. Trophies and critical acclaim are great, but paying your bills and staying in the game till overdue recognition arrives is often more important. Next question, and this is from Sonia. When is the best time to approach an editing consultancy like TLC? How is it different to beta reading? I'm lucky enough to have a small number of beta readers that I entrust my work to, and they give me back really interesting insights from my target reader's point of view. They tell me what they love and also what's not landing. But this is very different than the insight I would get from an industry professional, whether that's a fellow writer, editor or agent, which is what you would get from a consultancy like the TLC. There you are working with someone who is used to developing manuscripts for market and knows what the market is looking for and how to shape a piece accordingly. It's a personal choice as to when you decide to approach the TLC or another consultancy like that, and part of your decision should reflect what you want to get out of the service. If you want help developing your idea, then showing them the first draft would be a good idea. But for me, back in the day when I took my very first unpublished manuscript to the TLC, I made sure it was the absolute best it could be. That way, I avoided being told I needed to fix things that I was aware already needed to be fixed, and I feel it gave my manuscript the best chance and myself the best chance of developing it into something that was truly publishable. Next question. Should more independent bookstores do more to support independent publishers and self-published writers, creating a genuine alternative to the mainstream? And this is from Anonymous. Now, I am not an independent bookstore, nor am I a self-published writer, but I know many who are, so I've asked those and these are the answers that I've got. This is what an owner of an independent bookstore has to say. We have limited space, limited resources, and very little time. It takes many people to sell a book, and I do get cross when people think we should take on additional burdens to trying to stay in business and keeping our staff employed, particularly at a time like now. We do a great deal of community service, but we have to be viable businesses in order to keep our doors open. To properly sell a book, we need to read it, or we need to be able to recommend it based on a recommendation from someone we trust, be that a friend, colleague or reviewer. If we push something that a customer then finds disappointing because it's badly written, poorly edited, etc., that affects our credibility and then our custom, both of which are very precious. A book takes many people to make it work, in editing, design, marketing. The whole package counts. Lastly, self-published authors do often send us an Amazon link to their work, which shows no thought or respect for an independent bookshop. Okay, let's just take a moment to absorb that generously frank answer and to make a note. Do not be the type of self-published author who gives other self-published authors a bad name, because there are lots of brilliant, talented, successful self-published authors out there who are writing and working in a professional, positive manner. A number that I spoke to prefer to focus their attention on the lucrative online market of ebooks, audiobooks and print on demand that is also global. But for those of you who still want to see their books on the local bookshop shelf, here are some great tips from successful self-published author Debbie Young on how to drive readers into local bookstores. Number 1, befriend your local booksellers. Be a good customer at your local shop. If you only ever buy books from Amazon, don't expect your local booksellers to want to help you. Number 2, when you list your buying links on your books pages on your website, add a note to tell people they can also order from all good bookshops by going in and quoting the ISBN, title and author. If a bookseller looks at your website, you'll score a brownie point for flying the flag for them. And I'm just going to add the suggestion that you also include a link to uk.bookshop.org, which is a site that was recently launched during the global pandemic so that you can order online via your local store. Number 3, try to hold launch events at your local bookstores. Fill them with customers to impress the booksellers that you're a popular local author that they really should stock all year round. Now, those great answers were from a selfpublishingadvice.org article, and I will put the link in below. Now, I think there's time for one more question, and this is also from Anonymous. Where do writers come from? Well, I'm from Watford, but I'm pretty sure the last time I was there, there wasn't like a secret conveyor belt that was popping authors out round the back of McDonald's. In all seriousness, no matter who you are, where you were born, who you were born to, or what your life experience has been to date, if you have something to say and the talent to put it into words, then you are a writer. Thank you so much for joining me today and for all of the brilliant questions that were sent in. Thank you to the Literary Consultancy and the Free Word for setting up this fantastic session. And all I have left to say at the end is good luck and keep writing, guys.